Say the word door out loud. Door. Again. Door. Faster now. Door, 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 door. You might notice something strange happening. At first it sounds like the word you've known since childhood. The object you've touched 1,000 times. But as you repeat it, a subtle shift occurs.
Door.
It stops feeling like a door. It becomes hollow, a string of sounds, a glitch. Your mind begins to question itself, is that really a door? Now imagine that sensation spreading, not just to a single word, but to language itself, to meaning, to the reality you thought was stable and solid. For a moment, the universe of symbols you rely on to understand your world begins to crumble, and in that void your mind senses something both fascinating and deeply unsettling. The gap. Why does this happen? Why can repetition erase meaning instead of reinforcing it? This isn't a bug in your brain. It's a documented psychological phenomenon called semantic satiation. A fleeting moment when a word, phrase, or symbol loses its sense, its emotional weight, even its connection to reality. Think of it as a mental hiccup, a brief collapse in the architecture of understanding. And yet, beneath this harmless party trick lies a darker truth. Meaning is fragile, and when it slips even for a moment, it exposes the astonishing vulnerability of the human mind. So what is actually happening inside your brain when words lose their meaning? Part 1. The discovery of a mental glitch. Semantic satiation was first formally noticed over a century ago. In 1907, psychologist E.W. Scripture conducted experiments that would reveal a strange vulnerability in human perception. He asked participants to repeat words over and over. Something peculiar happened. The words began to feel unfamiliar, alien, almost unreal. Later studies built on this discovery. Researchers found that even words with strong emotional or conceptual weight, justice, truth, mother, could be stripped of meaning through repetition. The word remained audible, recognizable, but the emotional and conceptual connections faded. Imagine saying the word mother repeatedly until it becomes a string of sounds devoid of warmth, love, or memory. Your brain experiences the word, but it can't attach the meaning it once carried. This discovery disturbed early psychologists because it challenged a fundamental assumption that language is solid, stable, and reliable. Words, they believed, were the backbone of thought itself. Semantic satiation suggested otherwise. It revealed something unsettling. Meaning is not inherent in words. Meaning is constructed by your mind in real time, and constructions can fail. When meaning collapses even briefly, it exposes the fragile scaffolding behind your perception of reality. What seems like a simple word, door, fire, love, is actually a complex interplay of sounds, memories, associations, and emotions. Remove that network, even momentarily, and the word becomes a ghost. This phenomenon also touches on the eeriness of human cognition. Our minds rely on labels to interpret the world, and when those labels fail, reality itself can feel like a fragile illusion. Part 2. What's happening inside your brain? Inside your brain, words aren't single, simple objects. They are networks, vast, intricate webs of neural activity. Take the word fire, for instance. When you hear it, several regions activate simultaneously. The auditory cortex processes the sound. Memory centers recall experiences with fire. Emotional circuits assess danger or warmth. Visual areas conjure images of flames or heat. Learned associations, cultural meanings, and survival instincts all weigh in. Semantic satiation occurs when this network is repeatedly triggered. Neurons fire over and over until they begin to fatigue. Their signals weaken, and the brain temporarily reduces its response. Think of it like a floodlight left on for too long. At first it illuminates clearly, but eventually the bulb begins to dim. The light is still there, but the brilliance fades. This process, called neural habituation, is a protective mechanism. Your brain tunes out repetitive, unchanging stimuli to conserve energy. It's the reason you stop noticing the hum of a refrigerator or the feeling of clothing on your skin. But when habituation affects language, the results are uncanny. Words you thought were anchors to reality start to float. Emotional weight disappears. Associations unravel. Even the most familiar words can feel like meaningless noise. Interestingly, the effect varies with context. Emotionally charged words may resist satiation longer, while neutral words collapse faster, and the momentary collapse of meaning can affect behavior, perception, and thought. It can dull the impact of affirmations or insults, or even create brief disorienting feelings of unreality. Semantic satiation, in essence, shows that our brains don't passively store meaning, they constantly generate it. And when the machinery pauses, even for seconds, the illusion of stability vanishes. Part 3. When meaning loss turns dark. In most people, semantic satiation is fleeting and harmless. A fun curiosity, an odd mental hiccup. But in certain psychological conditions, the effect can be intense, persistent, and unsettling. People with derealization or depersonalization often report that words feel strange, objects look unreal, and even their own reflection appears alien. The brain's scaffolding for reality has weakened, and language becomes another piece of the puzzle that no longer fits. In anxiety or obsessive-compulsive disorders, semantic satiation can amplify distress. Repeating thoughts, fears, or phrases obsessively can temporarily sever their emotional weight. But this disconnect can spiral into confusion, panic, or existential dread. Even in severe psychiatric conditions like schizophrenia, the breakdown of language is central. Words fracture, associations fail, meaning becomes unstable. Patients describe a sense of reality flickering, of being trapped in a world where symbols no longer correspond to anything real. These extreme cases reveal a profound truth. Your sense of reality depends on delicate, constantly negotiated agreements within your mind. Semantic satiation is a small crack in that system, a fleeting glimpse behind the curtain, a reminder that meaning is not fixed, that reality itself is fragile. For a few seconds, your mind experiences the unthinkable, the collapse of the ordinary. And in those moments, the mundane world feels alien, uncanny, almost sinister. It's a whisper of what the brain experiences in panic, obsession, and psychosis. A reminder that the line between familiar and strange is thinner than you might imagine. The twist and application: why this matters to you. You may never experience semantic collapse as a disorder, but you've felt its shadow. Think of the last time a single word, phrase, or even your own name looped endlessly in your mind. At first it held meaning, power, emotion, familiarity. And then, almost imperceptibly, it shifted. The sound remained, but the meaning slipped away. That doesn't sound like me. That doesn't feel real. Your brain was quietly doing what it always does, protecting itself from overstimulation. Neural habituation dulled the signal. Emotional weight vanished. Associations unraveled. This tiny glitch isn't just a curiosity. It's a glimpse into how your mind constructs reality. Every thought, label, and memory depends on networks of connections, associations, emotions, and past experiences. Overfocus, repetition, or obsessive thinking can expose these networks, leaving meaning temporarily hollow. This explains why affirmations sometimes lose their effect, why insults can stop hurting, and why obsessive fears can both fade or escalate into something monstrous. Semantic satiation reveals that your sense of reality, identity, and meaning is far more delicate than you think. Even brief exposure to this fragility can leave a lingering unease, a subtle, uncanny sense that the world isn't as solid as it seems. It's a reminder: meaning is not permanent. It is constructed in real time, and the more you examine it, the more you glimpse the invisible scaffolding that holds your experience together. If a single word can lose its meaning through repetition, what happens when thoughts, fears, or self-definitions loop endlessly in your mind? When beliefs become automatic, reinforced daily, without reflection? Semantic satiation is only the beginning. Once meaning collapses, the brain instinctively begins to rebuild it. But reconstruction is subjective, messy, and sometimes distorted. Reality can bend, emotions can dull, and perception can slip. The deeper you explore, the stranger it gets. Words fracture, symbols lose weight, memories flicker, the familiar becomes alien. Which raises the chilling question: if language, the foundation of thought and reality, can collapse so easily, What else in your mind is just waiting for you to notice? And that is why you need to watch the next videos.